Hi there, Isha here, and welcome to The Higher Life, where I take concepts considered esoteric, spiritual, new age, and psychological, and show you how you can apply the wisdom of these to really live an empowered life. And I'm really going to focus on the word concept. What we're really doing is conceptualizing an inner resourcefulness so that we can better understand it. And if we better understand it, we can cultivate it and apply it out in the world so that it can generate a really positive impact. And in the long run, support humanity to become a really empowered species, full of compassion, consideration, that we really step up into our highest potential as a compassionate, enlightened, and loving human being. And the world will be fundamentally transformed when we can align with this unfolding. But we need to begin with education, because this is not something that we've been exposed to as a species growing through generations of humans. We really have a lack of awareness still about our competencies and capacities for living as a compassionate being. But this is being asked of us right now as we can see this detox of ignorance happening all around the world. And that's exactly what this is. Humanity is going through a massive detox of ignorance. And this is answering to a deeper desire that we have to live free from ignorance and to really live as our most empowered self. But we need this toolkit. And the way that we do that is by conceptualizing, by bringing a certain clarity and context to what we're capable of. Now, in today's episode, what I'm talking about is the difference between accountability and responsibility. So I'm really seeking to conceptualize accountability and conceptualize responsibility in a way that makes sense and gives context to our true power. Now, it's very important because if you've grown up like I have in any type of family situation or cultural situation where you felt responsible for the peace, the harmony, the well-being of the whole system, of the whole family, of the whole culture, you may have a distorted relationship with your capacity for responsibility. Now, the same is said for accountability. We're not really educated about our personal accountability. How do we take stock and hold ourselves to account in a way that is loving and healthy and not self-destructive, self-critical, and unhealthy in one respect or another? So we really want to examine these two together, because once we know what we're accountable for, it naturally leads into us knowing what we're responsible for. Now, the word responsible, if you really unpack it, it's about that capacity to respond. But what are we actually responding with? Well, we're responding with energy, and that energy is directed to our focus. So when you focus on something and you give energy to it, in some ways you're accepting responsibility for it. So in a way, it gives us a lot of power when we're very discerning about how we respond, what we respond to, and what we are truly responsible for. But that leads into accountability, because it's really starts with what am I accountable for? And then from this place, what do I choose to respond to, and how do I choose to respond? If we can really get clear on that, it slows down our process when we're engaging in certain situations where our energy is being called upon. And in this process of slowing down and becoming more reflective, we are actually toning down and tuning out of reactivity. So reactivity is often triggered by an unconscious sense of responsibility, a misguided one. We think that we must react against something coming our way because we're responsible for defending ourselves against it, for example. Or we believe that we need to go the extra mile in a situation that really has nothing to do with us because the other person needs to be fixed, because that's our responsibility to make sure that everyone around us is okay. But if you ask, am I truly accountable for the health and well-being of another person? If you're really honest, you would say no. What am I accountable for? I'm accountable for my own health, for my own well-being, for my own use of power. And am I being accountable right now? Now, when we get involved in other people's lives, or we get involved in the chaos and the drama and the stories out there about things that are happening to other people, we get very drawn into a world that we're not really able to be accountable for. You know, you can't do much about people dropping bombs on other people, but based on their misguided sense of entitlement. You know, if you believe that you've been harmed or your people have been harmed in the past, and that gives you now the permission to then harm people in the present. We all know what war is about, right? It's a really reactive experience, an ignorant-driven way of humans trying to resolve a belief that they have that they're somehow been disempowered by the other. And that's a whole different discussion. But you can't really be accountable. You yourself cannot empower that situation because you can't travel over there and actually stop the bombs from happening. You don't have a direct counsel with somebody who might be making those decisions. So what are you accountable for in these larger human unfoldings? What we're really accountable for is how we, as a single human being of a larger system called humanity, choose to respond to or react to or not react to. So in a way, if you in your personal life are spending all your time out there in social media and having your say, but it's not really your story, it's not really your experience, you're not really accountable for what's going on, you're living in another dimension. And you're not therefore taking responsibility for your own energy, your own power, your own focus. Now, what would happen if we all as singular human beings decided that instead of fueling the drama out there, we would become 100% accountable for our own well-being, for our own cleansing of our dysfunctional patterns, for example. You know, we really looked inside our own lives and thought, well, how does dysfunction and ignorance impact my life personally? You know, how do I act in ignorant ways? How do I react against ignorance that's coming towards me? You know, do I contemplate what is truly meaningful in my life? Do I practice rain? You know, that meditative process of becoming aware of what I'm feeling and giving it the nurturance that it needs. Now, rain I borrowed from Tara Brach's work, but it's really about mindfulness and coming into a state of friendliness with our own internal drama. You know, we love to go out into the drama out there because somehow it stops us from having to deal with the drama within ourselves. So at the end of the day, every single human being is accountable for the drama that lives within their own system. They're accountable for resolving and dissolving the intergenerational trauma that lands in your singular personal life. And through this art of internal work, of dissolving, resolving, and healing your own personal experience of ignorance, that then manifests into a larger systemic dissolution of ignorance, and we're able to actually come back into our full power. And in this sense, accountability and responsibility are two key concepts that we must be constantly contemplating, asking, what am I accountable for? What is my relationship to accountability? It's like doing your accounts. That's very karmic, right? You know, you're born into a family system, into a cultural system, into a systemic intergenerational trauma. You have to really explore what you were born into and how that manifests through you, and then do the work to actually liberate yourself from that intergenerational trauma. It's such an important pathway to be on, far more important than really going out there and trying to live your highest potential as a career or as something you do. The highest potential that we have as human beings right now is to really support this detox of ignorance that's occurring and to really step up into our fully matured selves as empowered and enlightened beings. And in this process, we become very precise about our responsibility, what we're truly responsible for, and that is how we actually respond out into the world and to what's coming towards us. So you can imagine if you're operating from a very ignorant, immature space, you're going to react out in the world. If you become a little more empowered, a little more insightful, you're going to actually respond. But if you become truly enlightened and you really resolve all of this internal conflict and drama within yourself, you may actually feel yourself transcending the need to react and respond, and to become really at peace and at still and simply exist in a very high vibrational state. And that's actually the true calling. We really want to enjoy our own existence, to rejoice in it, to really be nurtured and nourished by it. And while we're out there caught in reactivity or being over responsible or over responsive to life, we're too tired and too distracted to actually reach that state of transcendence. So put very practically, if you're looking to become a truly empowered being and to really live your life from a very vital place, really exploring, what am I accountable for? What is accountability in my life? What am I doing and where am I spending my time and energy that I'm not accountable for, that it's out of my realm, so to speak? Now, everything that we do in our personal lives, it may seem small and insignificant, but it ripples out. It is part of a larger momentum that's happening, and the universe is behind you. We can see that this is the unfolding to support humanity to step up into a compassionate mindset and to realize itself as a truly empowered and enlightened species, full of love, full of joy, and full of care, a healthy care. But if you're out there in the world reacting, getting angry, having your opinion on things that are really very dramatic and very outside of your personal power, then you're not using your personal power to serve for a better world. And that's something that you need to be accountable for. We're all accountable for the way we use our energy day to day. And it's not about judgment, it's just about doing the accounts at the end of the day and thinking, did I really focus on what's truly meaningful and where I really have power? Or was I distracted and involved in other dramas that really can't help or serve me become the person that I know I can become? It's a really fascinating area. But at the end of the day, these concepts are only useful for a certain amount of time. We need them until we don't. Education is like that. It helps you develop a new awareness and step into a new way of being in the world. And after some time, it becomes so natural, you no longer need the language, the concepts. So it's really important that we step into those concepts, explore them, make them our own, get very discerning about the different flavor of accountability and responsibility. So I hope this has been helpful. If you like this work, absolutely check out the Higher Life Academy, where I offer courses on personal empowerment and how you can really walk this path and become a truly empowered human being. So until next time, take care and love life.